Meet MojoPix, a Santa Monica-based startup that is hoping to change the way you deal with photos taken with your smartphone. It all starts with a great idea, and MojoPix has got that. Now they're looking for that big breakthrough that will take them to the next level.
Today on Concept to Code, we're going to learn about servers. Servers, hosting, who's throwing a party in Silicon Beach, and why wasn't I invited? Now, Colin, as an entrepreneur, what areas of or issues do you have that concern you?
Sure, Gary. So when picking a colocation service or a cloud storage solution, there's three areas that I look at. One is security. Second is scalability. And the third would be redundancy. The first, let's look at security. Security is a hot button these days, especially with photos is a big issue. And with a photo startup, it's a big concern of mine. Scalability, if I go from 1 user to 1 million users overnight, will the server be able to handle that load? And then redundancy, if one server goes out in one area, will I be able to pick that up in another area and still provide seamless service for my users?
And I know if it was my company, I would also be concerned with cost.
Sure, cost is a big concern. For most cloud storage systems nowadays, prices are very competitive. So it's really just a matter of finding one that you like.
Great. Well, when we return, we'll meet our czar of downtown Los Angeles colocation server hosting. Stay with us.
Welcome to Concept to Code, where you'll learn from the experts who are making Santa Monica a hotbed of technological innovation. Here to learn from our experts is MojoPix, a Santa Monica startup that wants to help you make the most of the photos you take with your phone. The experts are here. MojoPix is here. All on Concept to Code.
Welcome back. To help us build our server environment, we have our guest mentor, Navroz Haji. He's the co-founder and president of US Colo. Founded in 1998, he builds and manages 40,000 square feet of colo in downtown LA. What's colo? Well, you'll hear about it soon. Mr. Haji also has a background in low voltage and electrical design, so he's a president that knows how to roll up his sleeves. Welcome, Navroz Haji.
Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you. As Gary spoke of, I am Navroz Haji, co-founder and president of US Colo. I do operate and manage 40,000 square feet of data center space in downtown LA. So let's get started. On the agenda, we're going to talk about dedicated physical servers, virtual servers, the advantages and disadvantages, some of the security considerations, data centers that are where the servers are housed in, disaster recovery implications for startups. Dedicated servers. So dedicated servers is basically a piece of hardware with dedicated resources that are guaranteed. So if you pick a piece of hardware, 16 gigs of RAM, 2 terabytes of hard drive space, that's what you're going to get. You as a user has full access and control of the data of the hardware. Initial purchase price can be high depending on the specifications of the hardware. One option may be to rent on a monthly basis, which lowers your CapEx. And keep in mind, again, it is a fixed specifications of hardware. Performance can be better. And the only drawback is it can take up to 48 hours to set up. Virtual servers. Virtual servers are hardware where the resources are actually shared by multiple people. Low entry cost, easy to expand hardware requirements, and it's very quick to start up. You can get one running up in 4 or 5 hours. Some of the big players, Amazon, Google, IBM, and Microsoft. Security considerations in a hosted environment. When looking at security in a data center, you want to see if there are multiple levels of security. Is it staffed by guards? Are there techs on staff 24/7 to assist you? Is the facility certified? Access control into the facility? Are the sites monitored and recorded in case there is an event and you need to see what's going on? Drawbacks can be, costs can be high depending on your requirements, anywhere from several hundred to tens of thousands of dollars on a monthly recurring cost. We at US Colo, we provide a controlled environment with air conditioning, access control, as well as fire suppression and 24/7 technical support. This allows businesses to house their equipment in a safe environment, knowing that they'll have an uptime of 99.99. The 5 nines equate to roughly under 6 minutes of downtime on a yearly basis. Also note that we allow our customers to choose from multiple network providers, so we're a carrier-neutral facility. Again, in a hosted environment, you want to look at the controlled environment. You want to make sure they have technical support, 24/7 by 365. You want to make sure there are multiple network providers to allow for redundancy in case one fails, you go out another way and your websites aren't down, which also allows in turn for faster access to your sites and applications. When you talk about disaster recovery, you want to talk about minimizing your interruptions and limit the extent of damage your business will have in the event of a disaster. So you really want to talk about business continuity and some of the recovery strategies. One may be to create an off-site storage of your data and applications. Keep it maybe out of state, far away, so in case of an earthquake, you're not impacted. This also minimizes your economic impact on your business. You want to establish alternative means of operations. Some big companies actually create multiple data centers with office spaces all around the world, so in case of a disaster, it's very seamless. They have absolutely no downtime. You want to prepare and train your staff in advance in case of an emergency. And you want to rely on local client backup. So you want to be interactive. You want to sort of initiate and say, hey, let me start backing up. Let me start moving my data off-site. Disaster recovery on a virtual basis. So for virtual machines, a big advantage from a hardware standpoint is virtual machines do get backed up. So meaning if the hardware fails, you come back up on another machine somewhere else. So it's relatively seamless. Virtual machines are backed up also in several different ways. There's agent-based, image-based, and serverless backup. Virtual infrastructures are complex, though, and can make it difficult to track a problem on a physical source. Simple diagram on network for physical and virtual servers and how they're accessed over the LAN and over the WAN. Startups on the server environment. Today, majority of startups launch on a server, virtual servers, basically because it's very easy and very quick. Also very low cost. Some of the big companies that have started up on virtual servers are MySpace, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, your IT budgets will dictate whether you go on a virtual server or a dedicated server. Keep in mind, there are some security implementations that need to be considered when choosing the right server. And again, every startup is different. So, I mean, what does that mean operationally? Well, from a security standpoint, you want to make sure your servers aren't hacked. You want to make sure that you don't lose your data or your website's not defaced by just somebody, pulling pranks. And so these are some of the issues you want to avoid. And finally, about the cloud. The cloud is basically a group of computers networked together where users share their resources. There are multiple types of cloud. There's a private cloud, there's a hybrid cloud, and there's a public cloud. The more common being the public cloud, like Amazon Cloud Services. This is where users, through laptops, smartphones, or desktops, access applications via the internet. A common application on the cloud may be Google Apps. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Navroz,
Thank
for
you,
the
Gary.
informative presentation on servers and Colo. When we come back, we're going to meet with Colin Vincent, our startup founder of Mojo Picks. And we're going to listen to their discussion about servers and the server environment. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Santa Monica is in a perpetual state of innovation. At the center of it all is the entrepreneur, giving to the ecosystem and being fueled by it. But what exactly fuels the entrepreneur?
The reason why we moved to Santa Monica was to get access to the great talent pool that is in the city.
What inspires us is the weather, the ocean, the people, and the city itself.
Both Mitch and I like to surf every morning.
A great way to start the day.
One of my favorite things to do, come out here, bring my laptop, connect to what is a choice Wi-Fi connection.
I am one of the few lucky people I know that gets to ride my bike to the office.
The city is always finding new and innovative ways to make it an incredible place to both live and work in.
It's great to be in the middle of that action and being able to just tap into what Santa Monica has to offer.
I am the admissions manager for General Assembly.
I work for a local company, Lionsgate Entertainment.
I'm the Santa Monica's Youth Technology Program Coordinator.
I'm the IT manager for the Lowe's Santa Monica Beach Hotel. I'm the COO and co-founder of Callfire.
I'm the founder of Favorite.
I'm the founder of Down to Earth Media.
We are a tech company. Our internet connection is very important to us.
And CityNet was really crucial in our initial growth.
It's been a rock solid service, one of our top providers for connectivity.
The internet's not affected at all. We have great gigabit speed. We bring 30 or more students to these co-working spaces.
And they have come through with speeds that throw all their competition in the dust.
seeing the evolution of a startup, implementing a new idea that's going to have a positive impact on society, it never gets old.
MojoPix is a Santa Monica startup that is going to change the way you use the photos you take with your phone. They are here today on Concept to Code to listen and learn from the experts about how to take their next big step forward.
Welcome back to Concept to Code. Today we're talking about servers and colocation. Navroz Haji, meet Colin Vincent.
How are you, Colin?
Pleasure, nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
So Colin, why don't you walk us through what your server environment looks like today?
Sure, Gary. So right now we have 3 different hosted environments for our app. The first is a landing page, which we host on GoDaddy, which is really nothing more than one web page that's designed to create interest and gather email addresses for marketing purposes. And then the second area that we have is it's a server that we have with a company called DigitalOcean. And DigitalOcean provides us with the ability to process our scripts on the web at high speeds. And then the other area that we have, which is probably our biggest environment, which is called Parse. And Parse is what we use to store all of our photos and all of our user accounts. So that's where, when you back up with us, Parse is where we store all of your photos.
Great. Okay. Navroz, do you have any concerns with that strategy or where they're at currently?
No, I think you've got the right approach. Maybe what you want to look at is when you look at the facilities or the infrastructure, make sure they have the right redundancies, multiple providers. Again, depending on where your customer base is coming from or trying to access the photos, one provider might not be the best solution for that. So, again, multiple providers. I think you should be fine.
So let's talk security, right?
Sure.
So what do those 3 companies provide as far as security? What do they state? What's in their SLAs?
Sure. So with GoDaddy, we just collect email addresses, but those are actually stored on with a product called Campaign Monitor. So it's just a pass through to Campaign Monitor, and that's a website where we keep our email addresses, our mailing, our email list that's constantly growing. In terms of security, Parse is highly secure. They provide data storage for mobile apps. But as we grow and we have a bigger client base, security is definitely going to be more of a concern for us. I wanted to know what the right things that I need to ask of my providers might be.
Oh, okay. So maybe one thing would be looking at how they mitigate or work against DDoS, right? So that's a big problem. That could probably bring your site down.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, DDoS is sort of an attack where servers all get together and they attack a site. So they basically bring the traffic down to a crawl.
By overloading it with traffic?
That's correct, yeah. So your bandwidth will spike up and your resources will go down, yeah.
And how do you prevent that?
They have ways. They have what's commonly called a black hole, where the provider will put an IP or the IP coming in a black hole, and then you'll come back up. That's one of the more common.
How long does that take?
Less than a minute.
Wow.
Yeah. Or they have other services like Black Lotus that sort of mitigate DDoS attacks. Yeah. So basically, the bandwidth will come through them. They'll filter it, then it comes back through you.
So is that something that's auto-detected and corrected on the fly, or is that something I need to bring to my servers, my provider's attention?
You should bring it to your provider's attention, but it can be corrected on the fly, yes.
All right, and you talked about growth too, so scalability. I know some of the cloud solutions scale but in the sense that it's scaling, additional data, probably in that same way. Do you have any plans operationally or any plans servers-wise to change anything?
That's a great question. The solutions that we have in place right now will scale very well for us, so we're very confident in our scalability.
Okay. Do you have any different services or changes to your service that you may offer in the future, or?
Yeah, we do plan to take the information from Parse and make it available through the browser. Initially, our service will be provided through an app, but as we grow, we'd like to make that available across different browsers and also across different platforms. But right now, we're starting with iOS.
Okay. And I think I stated earlier, cost. I mean, that's definitely a huge concern. You have Google, Amazon competing, and
sure,
it's. It seems pretty cheap these days. Is that the intent to continue along that track, or are you looking at some point? Is there any concerns you have with the content? To me, a picture of my phone, it's just a picture of my phone, my dog or whatever it is. It's not that important. I don't think that. But is there any legal issues that you're dealing with as a company that you need to contain or mitigate?
I think that in terms of so talk to me a little bit about more of the question in terms of your dog and the photo.
So to me, I think to a lot of consumers, they may not think their content is that important. They want that memory, right? But other than that, it's not that important to a lot of folks. I don't know. I guess it depends on your customer. But is there, as a company, are there any? I'm not familiar with it, but photos and content like that. Is there any trends or anything as far as security or that you're concerned about as a company that you would need to change that where you're at currently with your environment, or?
Not that I see.
Okay.
Not for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to your point around cost was another consideration.
Yes.
That's for us. What's really important is the ease of integration. If the solution doesn't fit well, the cost is sort of irrelevant. And also, how much time is it going to take you to integrate the solution to your product? So for us, Parse is just a very seamless integration because it provides great data storage for mobile apps. And so the way they've set it up really caters to the type of product that we're creating.
Great. Okay. And then you talked about redundancy, and both network redundancy as being one of the important factors. I assume the server providers, they have multiple.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's where scalability comes into play. If not only are you able to provide the load, but also when the server goes down, you've got the redundancy.
Great. And I think another thing to consider. I don't know. If it's a thing to consider as a startup? I think Navroz spoke to customer base. Do you have any concerns about where your customers are located, or do these companies that offer services, are they pretty much global, as Google and Amazon, or does it change? Do you have any concerns around that? I know some companies require, even though they're cloud providers, they'll require it to be hosted in a certain location, country, or something like that.
I would defer to you around an answer for that. Right now, we're in the beginning stages of putting this together, and we know that our solutions scale.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, Navroz, what do you think about that?
Well, again, you may want to look at your traffic patterns and see where they're coming from. So that'll give you an idea where your customer base is really coming from. That would gauge again where you want your bandwidth providers.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that concludes our discussion on server environment. Thank you, Navroz, for being here. Again, Colin, we'll see you again soon. And thank you for joining us today on Concepts to Code show on servers and colocation.